Well, thank you for joining us as we cap off another busy week of all things people, power, and politics. This is The Pulse. I am Brandon Hudson. A heated demonstration earlier this week leads to a call for unity in Dearborn. Anti-Muslim activists clashed with a group that's calling for peace. Tonight, we are hearing from Ahmad Hamad with the American Human Rights Council about today's message and how to move forward. And did you see this on your social media? Tesla CEO Elon Musk thinks work will be optional in the next 2 decades. We are talking with AI expert Joe Tavares about those claims, and he has a special guest in studio with him. Look, that's all I'm going to say. You're going to have to stick around, especially if you like dogs. Maybe I said too much. But look, we want to start with President Trump and his claims of sedition against 6 Democratic senators, including Michigan's Elissa Slotkin. It set off a firestorm yesterday, particularly because when he made the accusations, he claimed that the crime was, quote, punishable by death. And that led to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer requesting an increase in protection for Slotkin and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. Kelly and 4 other lawmakers appeared in a video pushing military members to uphold the Constitution and not to follow illegal orders. Today on Fox News Audio's Brian Kilmeade show, President Trump seemed to try to quiet the controversy by surrounding his punishable by death comment, but then he doubled down on his claims that the lawmakers broke the law.
I'm not threatening them, but I think they're in serious trouble. I would say they're in serious trouble. I'm not threatening death, but I think they're in serious trouble. In the old days, it was death.
Do you worry, Mr. President?
Seditious behavior.
Do you worry
that was a big deal.
Do you worry
Today,
that
you know, nothing's a big deal. Today's a different world. Okay, it's a softer, it's a meeker, milder world. But I will say this: I think what they did is really bad. The hatred is...
All right, because this show puts facts before anything else, we did want to get the perspective of an expert in constitutional law. So we brought in Cooley Law School professor Michael McDaniel, who first broke down what sedition is, and then he added what the president is wrong about the punishment.
Says if 2 or more persons conspire to obstruct the government, and that doesn't use the word obstruct, but what it does talk about is either conspire against the government itself to destroy the government or to prevent the government from executing lawful actions, fulfilling the laws of the country, or occupying property of the government. That can be considered sedition. The penalty for sedition, the maximum penalty is 20 years in prison. If you are a member of the military, you could be executed if there are aggravating circumstances, or if you engage in treason. This isn't treason. Treason is acting against the United States, adhering to its enemies is the quaint phrase used in the Constitution, or giving aid and comfort. There's no enemy identified here, frankly. This is at worst a political statement, but it is a very true statement.
Professor McDaniel then dove deeper, even further into the video by the post, which was posted by lawmakers, saying their comments are simply stating the law. He went on to say that those statements are also protected under the Constitution.
We now have an online video created by our own Senator Elissa Slotkin, Senator Mark Kelly, a Navy veteran and astronaut, and a number of U.S. representatives, all of whom are either veterans of the U.S. military or were members of the intelligence or defense community in another way. And what they are saying is that to the members of the military, you cannot obey an unlawful order, or conversely, you can only obey lawful orders. That activity is in no way seditious whatsoever. It's not conspiring against the government. It's not conspiring against anyone, frankly. It's a statement of law. Our members of Congress are given very broad authority and powers to speak on any subject which may come under legislation. And in Section 1 of the Constitution, under the Speech and Debate Clause, if it relates to the legislative function as opposed to a political function, then it is going to be considered, those actions or statements are going to be considered immune. So A, it's not seditious. Secondly, they have a right to say it. Third,
well, while no specific circumstances were mentioned in the lawmaker's video, It comes as the Trump administration keeps trying to deploy the National Guard into U.S. cities. Some of those deployments have been pulled back. Others are held up in court. And look, this is a very complicated story. So if you have any questions you'd like us to talk to the experts about, email us at pulse@fox.com or get your phone out because it's probably sitting next to you. Scan that QR code on your screen to auto-launch your email on your phone. Well, all right, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so let's pick up the pace. Let's run through some of our other big stories. The Supreme Court is meeting privately to decide if they'll take up President Trump's birthright citizenship appeal. You'll remember he tried to unilaterally end birthright citizenship with an executive order saying children born to parents in the United States temporarily or illegally are not U.S. citizens. Well, that's despite the 14th Amendment saying the opposite, with narrow exceptions. The justices could say as soon as Monday if they'll hear the appeal. Lower court rulings have struck down that order. Murdered Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi, his widow, is demanding the transcript of a 2019 call between the President Donald Trump, and Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman be released. She joins Democratic leaders who want to know if President Trump benefited by embracing the Crown Prince. Saudi intelligence officials and forensic doctor killed and dismembered Khashoggi in 2018. U.S. intelligence found the Crown Prince likely had some culpability in the murder. And a key part of President Trump's plan to end the war in Ukraine could be a non-starter for Ukrainians. The country would cede land to Russia, something that's not only unpopular, but it's illegal under the country's constitution. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly ruled that out. It would also limit the size of Ukraine's military and ban it from joining NATO. But Russia would be expected to not only invade the neighboring countries, and Ukraine would keep its sovereignty. European leaders, they are also likely to oppose an agreement that could be seen as rewarding Russian President Vladimir Putin's 2022 invasion. But we want to take you back earlier in the week in Dearborn. An alt-right group rallies to condemn Islam, but was overwhelmed by a group of activists, many of the Muslim of faith, promoting peace. Shoving matches and fights broke out in the city on Tuesday. Well, let's fast forward to today, where a group of local, state, and federal politicians and faith leaders, they gathered to give a message of unity. Mayor Abdullah Hammoud led the press conference in front of the Interfaith Complex on Altar Road. The overwhelming message was the rhetoric by the alt-right group is something that this group will not stand for.
And today, all of us in Michigan, when we're living to the best of our ideals, we stand tall against fear, against bigotry, and against any attempt to divide our people or our communities.
This is not due to the city of Dearborn. Every decade we have folks who come in from the outside who try to intimidate and sow division and fear across our community. The best way to respond is by not responding at all, to not give them any face, to not participate with them in their marches and leave them on their own. Once they don't get the clicks and views that they're pursuing, they'll fizzle out on their own.
So my ask for the people of Michigan is to stand with us, to stand with Dearborn, and to help us send a message that if you come for one of us, you come for all of us.
Mayor Hammoud, who you heard from second, he went on to say that while the way people worship in the houses of worship on Altar Road might be different, they walk out into a city that stands firmly together. To the Oval Office now with President Trump, with new New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. You see the photos here. The two of them are polar opposites as far as their political stances. Mamdani declared himself, quote, Donald Trump's worst nightmare. And at one point, Trump has called him a, quote, 100% communist lunatic. But today, it was a warm meeting. Both of them talked about their shared goals. They downplayed their differences.
We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people, he won't surprise them because they already like him.
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views. And what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle.
Keep this video in mind because we'll revisit this relationship 6 months to a year from now. And you heard Mayor-elect Mondani talk about affordability. He said that's the key reason that he wanted to meet with President Trump. All right, so we're going to turn back to Dearborn after the break. Both the demonstration we saw on Tuesday and the show of solidarity today. Ahmad Hamad with the American Human Rights Council. He's going to dive into that next. You're watching The Pulse right here on Fox 2. We're back now on The Pulse, looking at all things people, power, and politics. Here to talk about the message of unity in Dearborn after an alt-right group demonstrated earlier in the week. We have Ahmad Hamad with the American Human Rights Council, excuse me. Mr. Hamad, how are you?
All right. I think I'm grateful to this country, grateful to our fellow citizens. Actually, since the November 18 encounter, we've been receiving overwhelming messages of support from fellow Americans from across the board.
You were there at that news conference earlier today with Mayor Hammoud and all the other, state and local leaders. What was that show of unity like to see it in person?
Well, first, I think the whole world, not just Michigan, not just Dearborn, saw America at its worst on November 18. Today, I think it showed that America is at best in Dearborn. I think the show of unity and people getting together from all walks of life or races or faiths, it speaks volume that those people who came and instigated the trouble, trying to instigate confrontation and physical interaction failed, desperately failed. And today we can say that people are more aware, more vigilant, more ready to deal with any future encounter.
Put us in the mind of a Dearborn resident going back to earlier this week, Tuesday, where that demonstration was going on. What were people talking about? What were the emotions that a lot of people were feeling?
Indeed, it was a very tense situation. It continued to be the situation. I think people are concerned, worried. In the past few days, we witnessed and we monitored that few of those protesters, so-called protesters who played a political stunt for nothing but political gain, is still around, still cruising around, still trying to poke a fight, poke a confrontation. I think at this time, as community leaders, we're trying to create more awareness, especially among the young and the youth, how to deal with this situation, how to de-escalate, how to avoid, how to ignore, and how to respond. Definitely, people are people, humans. We cannot have a control over everybody's feeling and reaction, especially when you poke something that is very sensitive, very serious to people, such the effort to burn the Holy Quran. For example, burning any holy book, not just the Quran, it's an insult to all. Hate is hate. Hate against Muslims, against Christians, it's one and the same. No difference. It's only the difference is the name. So we are united that such hatred is not going to be accepted, not going to be justified, and we're going to fight it with all what we can to do. This is America.
Yeah, so I know that Mayor Hammoud had said that, a lot of times when you have these influencers or whomever, they come in here and they're doing this for likes and clicks and clout.
Yes.
Don't give them any attention. I know that's easier said than done because now people have phones and phones are everywhere. But what advice, I guess, do you give people to just try to block out this noise?
Well, first, we have to affirm a fact that Dearborn is one of the most diverse cities in America, and we are proud of it. Dearborn is a welcoming city to everyone. Anyone is welcome to Dearborn, regardless of your faith, race, even political views. Even if you have unpopular political views and you come in Dearborn, you're welcome. We urge everyone to come and enjoy the experience in Dearborn, but be civil, be respectful, be mindful of people's feeling. Those people, I don't think they reflect the best of America. Those people came with an organized, clear, defined political agenda. And their goal was nothing but to provoke confrontation and to showcase that Dearborn is governed by a fabricated, imaginary fear factor that they created. They come to fight against the Sharia law in Dearborn, which is all knows that it's a rotten American baloney. Nobody buys this. It's just political agenda, political justification for them to do what they want to do. And I don't think, at this point, we feel that the game And what Dearborn is facing is not isolated from what happened in other states and other cities. There are similar situations to a point that different people are using the same words, same techniques, same attitude with different crowds across the nation. So we tend to believe it's a planned national game targeting Dearborn, and it's not new. Dearborn had an experience before with Reverend Pastor Terry Jones, and we passed it. And we are definite that this is not going to change anything in the book.
We got 30 seconds. Real quick, just we see the leaders, we hear the words. What is next?
Well, next is that we ought to educate the public, create more awareness to de-escalate any tension, and to be more aware, more savvy how to deal with this situation, and leave it to the law enforcement to handle it, and to the community leaders to do their best not to grant any opportunity for these outsiders, for these invaders to ruin and drag any people to what they want.
Ahmad Hamad, American Human Rights Council, it's a pleasure to have you in here, studio. Thank you so much. And may this be the start of a more peaceful week and end of the year in Dearborn.
We're a peaceful community, and the attestation is come to Dearborn. Come and you see yourself. Don't take my judgment. Experience the experience.
There you go. Open invitation. Come visit Dearborn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Well, if you're dreaming of a day where you don't have to go to work, at least one man believes it's really closer than you think. We're going to dive into Elon Musk's claims about AI making work and money optional. That's next. The Pulse is back in 3 minutes. Well, it is People, Power, and Politics. Welcome back to Detroit's only nightly political talk show. It's The Pulse. We're here to talk about Elon Musk's claims that artificial intelligence will make work optional and money irrelevant. AI expert Joe Tavares. No, that's not Joe. That's Astro. I did promise you a dog. Here you go. So, Joe, thank you for joining us on The Pulse tonight. Tell us about Astro, because this thing is incredible.
Yeah, so the price point on robotics is coming down substantially as the technology advances, and I saw an opportunity to get my hands on one, so I couldn't let that go.
You said you got it 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
You said your mom was able to really learn how to make this thing do tricks too.
Yeah.
What's the learning curve here?
It's pretty low. It's got all the different commands written right out there. Kind of works like an Xbox standard joystick configuration. And then it does have programmable features deep inside of it. So
all that gaming that our parents told us not to do, it's really coming in handy.
It is, actually, yeah.
I hear you. So look, this is a part of the future. And we're also seeing not just, robotic dogs, but humanoid robots as well. You heard what Elon Musk had said on social media or wrote on social media. What did you think of that comment that work and money may be optional in the future?
I think my immediate thought on it was I heard the same things in the 60s as automation started to pick up and computers started to hit mainstream. So I'm hesitant to agree with it, but at the same time, I do see the future as having more automation and more help for people.
Do robots like Astro, or you see we did a story about Xpeng, the Chinese company, coming out with humanoid robots. Does that make it feel closer than maybe we felt in the 60s or 70s?
I would say so. So I have a background in 3D printing. So beyond just the robotics and AI, the advances in manufacturing are actually driving this as well. You're able to prototype things much faster. So your cycle time of prototype to production model is a lot smaller than it used to be.
As far as I think when we talk about the future, there's always the talk of the digital divide. And we're talking about the group of maybe boomers, Gen Xers, even maybe some millennials who haven't quite embraced this new technology. What advice do you want to give to them about saying, hey, look, the best thing you got to do is to embrace it?
Yeah, so I mean, there's demonstrated value there. So the market is going to continue down that path, whether people adopt it or not, and not learning about it and at least trying to understand it is going to give you a disadvantage against everybody else who's embracing it.
So I know that while we were talking, we've seen video of Astro, but kind of walk us through some of the tricks that you have learned in just the 3 weeks of owning this.
Yeah, I mean, it ships with quite a few different, pre-built functions, and then you can control each motor and articulation of the legs. You can adjust the speed, things like that. I haven't gotten around to it, but it's pretty cool. If it falls over or gets tipped over for whatever reason, it'll jump right back on its legs. So it's pretty aware. And I don't know if anybody can see it, but that spinny thing on the front is actually a laser interferometer. It's LiDAR. So it's making a point cloud of the room, and it won't run into the wall or a person or anything like that. It's able to actually see in 3 dimensions.
Now, look, I know it's not going to, fully replace, having pets in the house. But what do you see when it comes down to the families with kids, young kids? What purpose does this serve in the house?
So I think one of the biggest things is actually going to be elder care. Being able to check in on like your parents and make sure that they haven't fallen, things like that. So I think there's probably a big opportunity for like I don't know what to call it. Living facilities.
Yeah. Senior living communities.
Yes, yeah. So to embrace something like this, not just for companionship, but also for safety purposes. Like often they have pull strings on the walls, something that could actually move around and do different stuff. I think is probably one of the bigger opportunities.
Law enforcement is probably also another good issue.
Yeah, security.
Yeah, public safety, yeah.
Security, anything as far as needing to move around on like a schedule or automations, things like that. This is a good opportunity. Now, this one does have 4 legs. There are also bipedal ones that are coming out, which I'm sure is what Elon is talking about. Will they replace people? I don't know.
Right.
It's hard to say.
I guess, sometimes some people may think when they see Elon's statement, they're thinking a society that's a lot like we saw in WALL-E, the movie on Disney. We're not getting close to that, are we? Where we had a lot of people just not working at all.
So there's a quote from one of my favorite authors, William Gibson, who said in, I think, the 90s, the future's already here, it's just not evenly distributed.
Gotcha.
So again, as we advance manufacturing processes and make these things cheaper and easier to produce, I think that that gap will actually become a little bit smaller.
It's about equity.
Great question.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hey, Joe, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing Astro, well-behaved, for being here in studio for his very first time. And thank you for joining us on The Pulse tonight. I am Brandon Hudson. Enjoy your weekend.